Welcome everyone to this pool showcase. Sparxe' 2-key event. We doubled it, gave it to the next person. Recent developments. We had quite a few winner by defaults in the last pool. Hopefully we're gonna shoot for no win by defaults in the semifinals pool. We finished this map pool a solid 20 minutes ago. And we hope you enjoy, and we hope that there are no problems with the pool that we did not find recently. Yeah, without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with Rice 1.
This is gonna be exciting. I'm Niv.
Oh, I didn't even introduce.
Is this your first time commentating for this tournament?
Yes, I have missed all the other ones. I am Sydosys. Yeah. I too am in this episode.
Yeah, and Sydosys is gonna have a couple of featured maps in this pool. Not the first one though. First one's gonna be from Rofo, also known as Agu, who's been coming in clutch with these Rice picks. A lot of the easier ones so far, Rofo has been putting up, but this one is not quite an easy pick, and you'll see what I mean. Now, it starts at 180 BPM, but it's not going to stay consistent. You're going to be playing it once at 180, and then once at 200, and then it's going to keep speeding up after that. So keep an eye out for those speed changes. It starts off pretty straightforward, though, just a couple of trills and mini jacks. Doesn't go too far over 3 jacks at a time. So even though it's fast, the pattern's not super complex. Should be a comfortable pick.
Yeah, this is the accuracy/chord pick as it's listed on the sheet. So kind of the focus here is on ratio and stuff. Not gonna lob anything too crazy at you, hopefully.
Just gotta keep in mind the BPM difference, because the accuracy, the so-called accuracy picks in the last couple of map pools, we were sitting at 150, 160, 170, and this one goes all the way up to 200, right? So the accuracy pick in this map pool, kind of comparable to the speed pick back at the start of the tournament, when we were playing Tropical Club, you know.
Yes.
Remember Cave Story? It was a fun
one. I remember Cave Story.
We've come so far.
So far, yeah, definitely some density in here. I really hope that people can't single tap this. If you're still single tapping, let me rephrase that. If you are still solely single tapping, now is probably the time that you should start to incorporate some alternating into your strategy. Just be familiar with it. Just have a passing, because maybe this pool you can get away with it. Right here, you could vibro this. This is okay. Your time is limited, and you will see what I mean as we get further into the pool. I think there are definitely some maps in here that you are not going to be able to alt.
Speaking of not being able to alt, here's that speed up I mentioned right at the... Now, we were already at 200 BPM. At the very end, it speeds up all the way to 220 while continuing this mini jack pattern. So you're going to want to make sure that your tapping speeds up along with the music. That's all for map 1, Mao no Showtime.
Clearly no issue for left bracket, right bracket, our favorite playtester.
Yes, we're going to be moving on to the Rice 2 pick Fire Fire by Stripes. This one is also by Rofo. This map, Sydosys, it turns out, actually was easier than the other one. So don't get, if you don't have time to look at the map pool, don't get confused. Rice 1 is not the super easy accuracy pick. It's actually going to be Rice 2 this time around. We're sitting at a comfortable 150, and remember the other one started at 180, so it's already slower. And although there are some trilly 1/3 kind of bursts in there, still very manageable.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Not the techiest.
Oh yeah, this pattern's lovely though. The long jacks on one hand, the imbalanced other hand. Yeah, really test that stamina on just one side of your body.
Oh yes.
Now this is the semifinals pool. Yeah, for sure. It's only 150. Might get tiring, but
too slow to vibro.
Too slow to vibro? Yeah, it might be wrist jacking here.
You gotta wrist jack that. I think Nathaniel could maybe pull that off. I think Basil has a decent shot. I don't know her maximum BPM for wrist jacking, but
I vibro 150. I have no chance of wrist jacking this.
Oh, I can't go for vibro. I have a very limited range. I'm like 170 to 190.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess my vibro is slower.
Yeah, this part's pretty easy.
Yeah. There is a bit of a diff spike. Did I miss it? I wasn't looking at the screen. I think I did
this part. There was the long jack.
Oh yeah.
I guess this.
I should pay attention. If this is a map pool showcase, it's not listen to Niv talk out. It's not the listen to Niv yap hour.
It kind of could be both.
I'm
not opposed. Actually, I think Dev does not ult, so I'm pretty sure that this is wrist jacking you're seeing in this replay.
For sure.
Dev also doesn't respond. He just occasionally sets insanely good plays with absurd ratio, and you know what? That's a vibe.
Y'all are lucky you don't have to go against Dev in the pools.
Now this was actually one of the first maps that we got going in here. We got left bracket, right bracket here to save the day again.
Yep, that's right. Rice 3 is gonna be Winehouse by, I think I'm gonna pronounce that Eving, mapped by Iron. You're gonna be seeing a lot more of Iron in these later map pools. Your first taste of Iron's mapping was credits in the last pool. So if you like that, you're gonna get a lot more of it in the coming pools. Now what's that?
Oh, I just realized that both of us started in the last pool. Like, we didn't have any early game maps. We started in semifinals. Kind of cool.
You and Iron are definitely like end game bosses of this tournament. Anyway, take a look at this pattern. Very reminiscent of imprinting, and in fact, it's the exact same BPM, 175. I feel like imprinting was a divisive pick last time, because there were some people that were like, this is my best map, it's my only chance to get a point off, and some people were like, ban this right away, I'm not doing that.
I think that we are going to continue to see that polarization, but now, for this round, it's kind of the entire Rice pool is like that. It's kind of just how that turned out. Well,
yeah,
mostly.
It's all very fast.
There is maybe some different... It is interesting how the skill sets kind of played out this time around, that they all just happen to be more Jack-oriented. Not usually the case. I don't believe that was an intentional thing, but
yeah,
they all have
their
quirks.
Most of the Rice picks is going to be more Jack focused, but I think the difference here is that when we get into the hybrid and speed, you're going to be seeing a lot more of that tech play style with the uneven snaps, not just long jacks and chords. So you should be paying attention on the second half of this map pool.
Yeah, you just side read all this stuff. Don't even practice this part of the map pool. You just go straight to the...
I cannot endorse not practicing the semifinals map pool, but you know, left.
You gotta weed out those who are undetermined.
And we might just end up weeding out the people who work full time. We'll see.
There's that too. There is a reason why I have not made it to any of the other.
Yeah.
I'm too employed.
Alright, so more of these 5 per hand long jacks to finish out Winehouse. Once again, this is going to be our long jack pick, and this time, unlike imprinting where it kind of came in bursts, this one's just jacks all the way through. So if you love jacks, go ahead and pick this one. We're going to moving on to Rice 4, the last Rice pick. Once again from Iron, gracing us with another classic rhythm game song, the Flashbulb Passage D.
Well, that's a scroll speed.
Yeah, this one's a little slower for some reason. Which makes a little that the pattern here, it's alternating very rapidly from 1/4 to 1/6. I think it's the 1/8 bursts hidden in there. Thankfully, it's mostly trilly bursts, so it's not really going to test your mini jack speed necessarily, but these rhythms will definitely catch you off guard and make you drop some 200s and 300s if you don't practice. It's all about that practice.
Yeah, this one, you know how all of the Rice maps are not very technical? Mm-hmm. Not this time. This is the exception to this pool. This definitely a more technical pick. Even then, still seeing some, focus on jacks here in a while. But
yeah, it's very dense. It's dense and techy.
Yeah, it's a cool little mixture of those. Not really any crazy bursts per se, but kind of a sustained. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Except it's also like one of our shorter songs.
Now, semifinals was interesting. There was a couple of standout moments for me. Not semifinals, sorry, quarterfinals. Just kind of want to look back before we look forward, right? There were some win by defaults. There were a lot of 5-0s, including, interestingly enough, 3 out of the 4 winners bracket matches were all 5-0 sweeps. And the last one hasn't even happened yet because they're rescheduled for Monday. That's going to be Dragon versus Kulaipora.
Oh.
Yeah. But we did get a tiebreaker.
We did get a tiebreaker? Was it... What map... Or what... Goodness. What match was that?
Yeah, it was one of the conditional lower bracket matches. It was Bag Jetka versus Happer Gamer. It was a crazy back and forth, break points here and there. And we did get to see the tiebreaker once, which is exciting. I hope we get to see the tiebreaker again in semis. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We've just gone past Rice. And next is Long Note 1. Sydosys, I believe we have something a little special for this one.
Something just a tad. Alrighty, so that is Synapse by Torumaru. This is a custom song. Very thankful for Torumaru making this lovely banger that we can spice up our semifinals pool with. I think a good start to the LN. A lot of interesting, fun patterns in there. Obviously I wasn't saying anything throughout it, but good overall LN coordination pick. I feel there's some good density in there. It's got a decent amount of reading difficulty to it, which is something that you're going to start to see more of as we progress through the LN hybrid pools throughout the rest of this tournament. So without any further ado, let's take it to LN2.
Bet y'all weren't expecting that. Custom Signs and Semifinals. We're getting a jump on it. Lognod 2, of course. Chroma, Sayonara Planet Wars. Mapped by Mysterion. This is sort of a guest mapper here. This is going to be the only map from Mysterion we have in this tournament. So you better enjoy it while we have it. This one is hecking fast Sydosys. 224 BPM with long notes all throughout.
This one is definitely the LN speed pick. It actually was a lot more dense as of like 2 hours ago. So I had to kind of rush to put together some nerfs for this because we realized it was like something that could have fit in grand finals.
Just bringing it back in line a little bit.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's easy. This is, now this is getting to the point of the tournament where it's hard for me to judge difficulty because I cannot play at this level. But this is definitely still a wild card pick. If you're a real accuracy-focused player, you're going to be wanting to stick to, the Rofo maps, Fire, maybe Now No Showtime. But if you really want to test your mettle and win in, just brute force, how many notes and long note endings can you handle? Yeah, go for this one. Or maybe ban it if it's not your style, Definitely one to keep an eye out for. Don't side read this.
Yeah, I mean, we got to have at least one ban bait. Somewhere in the pool. I personally love this map. I think it's fun. I think it's a great song.
Love the
I
map.
also think that it is very, very difficult, even after the nerfs. It now just fits in semifinals, but it's still way on that harder end of what I would consider to be semifinals difficulty. As you can see, quite the difficult pick.
Ending with a little jack transition.
The 8 a.m. replay. What a fantastic experience. Yes, even left bracket, right bracket missing on this map.
Alright, our long note 3 is going to be New Dawn by Curlbond, mapped by me. This one is going to be a little bit of a respite. It's not as dense, it's only 153 BPM. And even though we do have some long jack stuff coming up, it's just long jacks at 150. Y'all can handle that. Just keep an eye on the long note ending, and this should be more of a consistency-based pick. You'll see what I mean soon enough.
Even then, I'm seeing some patterns. Those mini jacks, what's the term for that? A shield pattern, I believe. You got the mini jack with a LN on the end. Those can be difficult when you're alting. So, this might be one that is a...
Now, this is sort of the signature pattern of this chart, right? You got long notes in one hand, and you got this stream that alternates between snaps on the other hand. We're going between 1/4, 1/3, 1/2, and then a couple of 1/6 and 1/8 bursts. You just gotta watch out for that spacing. When it switches to 1/3, you're gonna want to make sure you catch that.
Yeah, definitely. This was maybe one for the band kids, or interesting for people who were in drumline, perhaps. That metric modulation, go crazy on that. Yeah, this was a good one to be able to alt and single tap because those shields are going to be a lot easier if you're single tapping. And these signature long jack sections are definitely going to be more suited for alting. Although at a BPM of 153, you could go either way.
Now, one thing that I thought was interesting, in tournaments like these, it's usually the SV that gets banned, right? But everyone seemed okay with playing the SD last map pool. I feel like the ones that really were ignored were the long note picks. They were kind of weird, right? Dead Inside Shuffle was slow but full of these really finicky long note endings, and then Siva was just fast. So I'm wondering what the long note pick rates will look like this time around.
I think as you get further into the tournament, people kind of get more used to the different play styles. Obviously, nobody has really touched 2-key before this tournament, so
yeah,
you run into some, well, except for you, but
yours truly,
the OG 2-key originator. Actually don't know what the very first 2-key map. I would have to look back into the history for that. Anyway,
now at the end of the map here, there's a little bit of a dip spike. It's nothing crazy like we just saw in Sayonara. It's just going to be a little denser. Just keep your focus and you should be fine. Just know this is coming up at the end.
Yeah, not incredibly complex patterns. Just keep an eye out for that. Good replay. Thank you, left bracket, right bracket.
Okay, that is our 3 long notes. Count them, 1, 2, 3. We're adding 1 long note pick and adding 1 speed pick to this pool. So it's 14 maps total. Last pool it was 12 total. Heading into the hybrids now with Warrock, Reanimate, mapped by me. This is our hybrid 1. What to say about this? This is it's a little weird.
The best song of all time.
I do like this song a lot. It's gonna be, I think, kind of the house with legs treatment, right? You got these long notes with really rapid trills and bursts, like, in between. So you're going in between, like, holding them down really hard to having to burst really fast. Other than that, not too bad. It's only 174 BPM. Bursts don't get super fast.
Yeah, I believe this got, at some point, a couple rounds of buffs. But it's got some cool graces. And yeah, those...
Look at that.
Very nice. I mean, it's just a fun... It's perhaps not the most, you know, conceptually crazy map, you know, with some 1-7, you know, but it's nice. It's fun. It's satisfying to hit.
I'm glad you think so. I have those jacks. Those always trip me up when I play these one-handed jacks.
Phew. Yeah, this is also a fun segment where you get a little polyrhythmic action with that 3-2. You know, that dealio.
Yeah.
Very fun.
And this part, I call this the pew 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 part.
Unfortunate.
Now, semifinals, what does this mean? Semifinals means that there's only 4 players left in the winner's bracket? That's really crazy to me. When you said about the alternating, I think that's really going to be true, because now that the player base has been weeded out so much, we're going to be seeing these matchups where one person is alternating and one person is jacking. And you should be paying close attention to the BPMs of the maps that they choose, because I think it's definitely going to start making a difference.
Yeah, you're going to, like, be able to... They'll, like, be like, no, I swear I'm alting. You know, they're going to try to bluff. You now, see those BPMs.
Basil and Zubin, I believe, that was an alting versus alting matchup last week. On the other hand, you had like Silicosis versus Miniegg. I have no clue. I have to assume that they were just vibroing, with Miniegg doing that crazy upset, the 7th seed being the 2nd seed. So hoping for more drama like that in the semifinals.
Well,
that's enough of my little recap.
All good. This is the tech that we promised for the hybrid pool.
Yes, Hybrid 2, Greenhouse, Radio Kids, once again mapped by me. You'd be hard-pressed to find any note that's mapped to 1-4 here. With the song kind of giving the feeling of, like, tuning in between radio stations and getting, like, snippets of different rhythms in between a bunch of static. It's like that, but you have to hit all the notes perfectly.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting map. This one is gonna, I think, be more suited to people who are reading visually. Because, you know, for people who are generally tuned into the audio, it's kind of difficult in this song to find something very consistent to lock into, you know?
Mm-hmm. For sure. Now, in terms of overall difficulty, I would say not too bad. It is 192 BPM, but don't let it scare you off. The patterns are not that dense, right? There is a sort of interesting transition. Early on, you got less dense patterns, more tech, more off-snap notes. Second half of the song, it's going to transition into more constant streams. You're seeing it now here, just consistent 1/4 streams at 192. But the jacks aren't too bad. I capped it at like 2 or 3 jacks at a time, or 2 or 3 note jacks at a time. So once you get past the techie pattern, if you can handle a 192 BPM stream, you should be comfortable for the rest of the map.
Now hold on, you said I would be hard pressed to find any notes that are snapped to 1/4.
Yeah, I lied. I'm sorry. It was just the intro. The intro's really tricky there.
Yeah, intro's some crazy business. Now this is, I would say, the hybrid map of all time. This definitely leans to a Rice skill set.
Mm-hmm.
As in, there's no long notes right now.
Yeah, long notes definitely front-loaded in this map. Kind of like how, what was that song? Purple Perplex last time. It was in the hybrid slot, but still Rice favored, so if you're a Rice player, keep an eye on it for sure.
Right. That's why you got to practice the pool. You got to know, what you're getting into. Mm-hmm. Very nice. 3 misses. It just tells you when even left bracket, right bracket is putting up 3 misses. It's getting real. It's getting outrageous in here.
Absolutely.
Now this,
Speaking of being real, we're now going to real Kunoyo loading.
Oh.
See what I did there? That's called a segue.
Wow,
this is going to be another extremely tech-focused one. What do you think about
this one?
This is?
So I just went through and nerfed this because it was like low-key impossible. Now it's less impossible. Very, very focused on bursts here. The reason that this
those stacks crazy.
I did. I removed a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was an overabundance of very fast mini jacks. Yeah, you got some crazy little patterns here when those 1/6. I'm kind of just, I keep being tempted to sing along. I'm lock in. I'm in a
catchy,
commentator thing. It's a catchy. I don't even like the song. It's just catchy.
It's true.
But yeah, very interesting map. This and Sayonara are gonna be your, very fast picks. This definitely also, it's hard. It's got a lot of long notes, but a lot of the difficulty is coming from Rice as far as this one goes. But it's more consistent throughout the map.
It is listed as 128 BPM, but because of all the 1/6 and 1/8, you're really playing a 256 BPM map. Hence why it's one of the speedier picks.
Wait, the 1/6 would be 192.
Did you just do that in your head?
Well, I've done a lot of I've memorized it from doing DT over the years.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you have it, folks.
Well, it's also just 128 plus 64.
Okay.
Anyway, that is Kunoyo loading. After the nerfs. At some point, we got to go through and find all the unnerfed and put out a pack of the maps that got changed. I Love My Robot Wife.
Yeah. Little bonus map pull.
Of course. This is a Sydosys map, whoever that guy is. Another 8 a.m. replay incident from our beloved left bracket, right bracket. This is not the most interesting map you're ever going to play. I'll just tell you straight up. It's fast in some sense, but it's more focused on the stamina. So this is now splitting the speed category into 2. There's burst speed, and then there's speed stamina. And this is speed stamina. So it's not very fast. It's only really 122.5, but it's just very sustained. I'm hoping that this is hard enough. I erred on the side of caution due to the speed stamina category being, not really focused on, mini jacks or anything like that. So
it is very trail focused, but it is still very fast. There is no There is no denying that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that some of the little parts with like even number streams can also catch some people off guard.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of those. Very fun.
There in the middle.
Yeah, it's not the longest song, but with the pattern being a little more on the samey side, it feels a bit longer than it is. But I like that section. Or this section.
Has like anchors, the anchored jacks.
Yeah, that's kind of something that you're going to continue to see in the speed stamina category, is an anchor jack with trills mixed in from the other, what's it called? The other lane.
The other lane.
Yeah,
No,
not a whole lot more.
1K World Cup, but there is such a thing as an other lane.
Truly, truly diabolical.
We're right at the end of this pick. There's only, how many left? There's 3 maps left in the map pool statuses.
Truly crazy.
But we are going to see some of the craziest parts still yet to come.
Yes,
next... You want to go?
Oh, I was just going to say that the tiebreaker is the one you got to watch out for.
Oh, for sure. Even post-nerfs, that is a heck of a map. We're not there quite yet, though. Right now we're looking at Shio Hanabi no Saku Yoru, map by My Mying. This is another guest map. This is the only My Mying map you're going to see in this tournament. And what a heck of a guest map it is. Last map was like 240. This one's 275, creeping up to that 300 BPM mark. And while Sydosys' map was more trill-focused, we are going to see some 1/4 jack bursts in this one, as you are currently seeing on the screen. So this is pure raw burst speed right here.
Yeah, this one, you know, there's more calm sections, I would say. But wow, when the difficulty is up there, it is up there. This one actually also has some stamina elements, so it's kind of like a mitosis type of deal, where like these two branches of the speed category are in the process of diverging. In the next pool and in grand finals, you're going to see a more of a clear difference between burst speed and speed stamina.
Basil, I cannot verify the existence of the 1/6. I'm not familiar enough with this map, but I think once you're playing it, it'll be all too clear. Yeah, 2 speed maps, folks. You heard it here first. Okay, confirmation from Iron. Yes, there are 1/6 in this 276 BPM map.
No big deal.
Oh, here we are. We're done with the LN break in the middle. That's for you to recover some feeling in your hands. And we're straight back into it with those jacks.
Yeah, this is a crazy map. I have not played it in a while, and I kind of forgot how crazy it was.
I am glad we have this, though, because I feel like a lot of the difficulty has been focused in the hybrid and long note maps in this tournament so far. So I'm glad we have one just for the raw, like, the Taiko players, the standard players, the 4K players that just want to hit really freaking fast bursts. Here's your pick.
Well, there you go. And it's a moderate length, you know? We've had a lot of, Oh, there's the SV map. Yeah, I was wondering what the spare one I was forgetting is. Yes. This is the SV map of all time.
It is I'm Scared by Bill Wirtz, and you should be scared. This is a map by me, by Niv. This map is, I've heard it described as technically readable, because all the speed changes are linked to the long notes. While you're playing long notes, the map progresses at 1 time speed, and while there are not long notes, the map progresses at 0.6 speed. So keep that in mind. You will have to practice it, but there's a rule of thumb to follow.
If you're insane at reading SV and you're familiar with the song, you actually might be able to do some sight reading on this. I wouldn't say a sight read FC is in the books for anybody.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know if that's possible, but
I'd love to see that.
It lulls you into a false sense of security in the way, because as you're getting used to the gimmick at the beginning, it's not that difficult. all of the strange parts are kind of towards the end.
Yeah. It'll be rapidly alternating between the two possible scroll speeds. I will say this did used to be 0.5 instead of 0.6. So, count your blessings.
I personally believe we should have kept it at 0.5, but
we want people to pick the SV pick statuses.
I'm aware. I just on a personal level,
I do love my slow jams.
I love a good slow jam.
As the players in this tournament are well aware at this point.
I just like this. It's a simple gimmick, but it's nice, and it's rather fun and satisfying, I'd say. And it's surprisingly difficult at points.
This middle part is a little bit easier. Speed changes don't happen quite as rapidly, so you can chill out a little bit. Then we'll get to those sections that Sydosys was talking about. Speaking of catchy maps, that little doodle-doo, I love that.
I was like singing segments of this for like a solid 10 minutes before the showcase started.
I would like to point out to the viewers. Oh, here we go. Here's the like weird little bumps there. Don't ask me what snap those trills were. I have no clue. And yes, I did make this map. It's something. Alright, getting into the intro now. I do want to point out to the viewers at home, I screenshotted the part of the music video that said happy times await, instead of the part that said I'm scared, because I want you all to approach this with positivity. You can full combo the SV map. I believe in y'all.
If there's anything that a non-SV player could get into as far as like an SV map goes, I feel like this would be a good time to work into it, because it's it's an intuitive gimmick.
All right, folks, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the tiebreaker of semifinals. And if anyone ends up 4-4, you will be facing this beast of a chart. It is going to be From's Hall, mapped by Sydosys. Sydosys, you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. This is a map that I created just from. I'll point it out when we get to the part. There was one part I mapped just because I knew it was perfect for 2-key. And then I kind of just made the rest of the map from there. This is just a great map. Or sorry, not a great map, a great song for 2-key.
It's a great map, Sydosys. You can pat yourself on the back a little bit.
I like this map quite a bit. I'd say it's my favorite map that I have made for this tournament, including the ones that you haven't seen yet. But yes, very difficult as far as semifinals goes. It's gone through a couple rounds of nerfs. Perhaps it could stand to go through a couple more. But that's up for you to decide. It's the tiebreaker. It's supposed to be crazy. If you're getting here, you've earned a ridiculous map.
I see it as kind of earning a ticket into the finals map pool. Oh yeah, what is going on here?
The polyrhythm. So I actually used the snappings. I experimented with various snappings. I ended up just using the ones that they used in MWC. But yeah,
smart.
This part is that it's not hard to hit on any physical basis, but they will trip you up. It takes a bit to get used to those rhythms. Nothing crazy here, just kind of like a little break segment. And now, some LN density. You gotta love LN density. I love inverse patterns. You saw it in the last week's tiebreaker. You saw it in that Psyche map. I love LN inverse in 2-key. If you are alting, this will be a bit of a nightmare. It's less of a nightmare if you are single tapping, so know how to do both, because there are absolutely some patterns near the end here which I would not consider possible to single tap. So I think having both skill sets will be in your advantage.
Yeah, I feel like we should point out at some point that this is 246 BPM, so equivalent to the speed of our speed picks, except it also has long notes, and it's also 6 minutes long.
Yeah, this one is quite crazy. I mean, it's got a range of BPMs. There's like some parts of this map that are solid red. Thank you, Frums. Yeah, this part was actually the one that went the most under the most nerfs, because it used to be way denser, and this part was not originally any hybrid. It was just super dense rice, and it was grand finals level, and we were like, okay, you gotta chill out with that. So this is where I focused most of the nerfs. Hopefully it is now playable.
You know how I see the tiebreaker statuses, or at least a tiebreaker like this? If you and your opponent are equally matched, and we have to decide to send one of y'all to the finals and to send one of y'all home, the deciding factor is gonna be who can play at the finals level, right?
Exactly.
This is a certified finals difficulty tiebreaker right here.
Yeah, I mean, this could fit neatly in the finals pool if you were to take a snippet out of it. I like this next part. This part's, you know, it's whatever. It's a little middle part here, but this next part's fun. It was very fun to
I'm
map.
excited. Oh.
Yeah, this was
Beautiful.
You go into 25% speed and just try to figure out where the snaps are.
So this is a little bit more techy, I see.
Yeah, I mean, well, you had to. The rice pool had like no tech in it. I had to fit in the rice tech somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And a little more just hybrid. It's nice. There's like some solidly hybrid parts, some solidly LN parts, and some solidly rice parts. And I kind of like intended it to be that way when I was listening to the song in the car and imagining how the map would go.
Oh, I love doing that.
That's like half of what I do at work is just imagine 2 key maps.
That's fun. Love that. It's like the Tetris effect, but it's the 2K effect. You're sitting at home and you start tapping your left index finger and your right index finger.
This part is a little bit abstract. All the sounds that are there are mapped to real sounds that I heard. The choice of which ones to do was a little bit abstract, which I just like throwing in a little bit of abstract mapping. Ghost Chon or whatever was the one of my favorite maps in Joe 3. And now, prepare for a stamina moment. Well, in a second. There's the stamina moment's right after this. This one's just some, you know, LN control stuff.
Oh my goodness. What is going on?
A lot of these look more complex, and you can actually kind of manip them. They're meant to be. These are manip patterns that you are not... You're meant to analyze them, you know? Now's the stamina part. These patterns aren't pretty crazy.
Wow.
They just go for a while. As you can see.
Here we go. This is the star rating inflator. Look at that.
Beautiful. You'd love to see it. You love to see it.
There's your 6-minute tiebreaker. If you don't want to play that, get to practicing the rest of the pool. Because you'll, if you sweep your opponent, you'll be just fine. Now there are only, how many of you are left? The 12 of you still left in semifinals. Best of luck, because what a banger of a map pool we have for you. You got any final thoughts, Sydosys, before we sign off for the weekend?
If you thought that there was some crazy stuff here, or if you perhaps thought that maybe the tech wasn't techy enough, and you wanted some more interesting patterns, fret not. Practice this pool hard, get to next week, and you will be rewarded. There is a variety. Each pool kind of has its vibe, right? And this one definitely, a lot of times, was leaning more towards speed and stamina. Next one has a lot of tech. So I'd advise you all to stay tuned. I'd advise y'all to practice hard and go crazy. And as always, good luck, have fun.
Bye, everyone.